All right, co-requisite implementation at GBC. This is going to be taking full effect in fall of 2021. This recording will also be uploaded into the faculty in-service training. The recording as well as this slideshow that we're presenting today. I want to go ahead and introduce all of the GBC Co-Requisite Task Force members. We've got Vice President Jake Rivera, Dean Mary Doucette, we've got Evie, Buell, Josh Webster, Gino, Jung, Ping Wang, and myself, Jennifer Brown. And we're going to go over the agenda really quick. So from 1 to about 1:15, we're going to talk about what is co-requisite. We will also be discussing NCHE and GBC policy and some of the changes that are taking place. English co-requisite, math co-requisite. We'll talk about tutoring and the Academic Success Center and the role that they're playing in co-requisite implementation. And then I will share out some of the co-requisite toolkit that was created by our very own GBC marketing department for all of the NCHE institutions. And then with whatever remaining time we have left, we will go ahead and do some Q&A. So I gotta let you know, Mary and Morgan will both be absent from the training today or the webinar today. So I will just speak for them for their slides. So first, we're gonna talk about what is co-requisite. Traditional remediation does not work. For many years, far too many NCHE students have entered into long traditional developmental education pathways that instead of opening the door to college success have closed it. For the thousands of students that enter into traditional remediation, few have graduated, often due to the increased cost and time required to engage in traditional developmental education. Historically, for every 100 students placed into traditional developmental education within NCHE's community college, only 8 will graduate. The remaining 92 students will have either dropped out or remained spiraling in the system, accumulating additional costs and time. An 8% graduation rate is unacceptable and has prompted the impetus for comprehensive change in the NCHE policy. In June 2019, the Board of Regents adopted a policy that eliminates traditional models of remediation and mandates co-requisite support for all degree-seeking students with full-scale adoption by fall of 2021, in alignment with the strategic goal of improving student success. The 2-year-long implementation process will result in a complete redesign of pathways for mathematics and English, revisited means of placement testing using multiple measures, as well as robust assessment and evaluation tools to ensure long-term success. Beginning in fall of 2021, NCHE institutions of higher education will no longer offer remedial courses in English or mathematics. Students who place below their gateway college level math or English course based on the various placement methods recognized by their institutions will be placed into co-requisite courses in the college level course. So moving on, I wanted to discuss the co-requisite timeline. So this has been taking place since 2019, where the Board of Regents has adopted the co-requisite college-ready gateway policy. Moving on to 2019 through 2021, reform curriculum. So NCHE Co-Requisite Task Force convenes, develops models, new models of mathematics and English pathways, reforming traditional models of curriculum and scaling existing co-requisite support. Moving on to our next phase, which would be implementation. So definitely fall of 2021, that is when implementation will take place. And then after, beyond fall of 2021, we're gonna assess and improve the co-requisite model. So moving on from the timeline, we're going to talk about some policies and procedures at Gateway and NCHE policy that has changed and will be implemented. Mandatory advisement is not new to Great Basin College. Mandatory advisement rolled out spring of 2021, where GBC utilizes a mandatory advising hold to all students' accounts. forcing students to meet with academic advisors with registration for their first semester, ensuring students are following continuous enrollment policy, and stressing the importance of co-requisite success and how it applies to overall student success. The next policy would be the continuous enrollment policy. This is an NCHE policy that states within the first 2 regular academic semesters following initial enrollment, degree-seeking students are required to enroll in college-level or co-requisite gateway English and mathematics course or the equivalent for a certificate program until institutional core curriculum, English, and math are completed. So we want to support our student success by ensuring that they're completing their math and English, from the very beginning. That goes hand in hand with enrollment enforcement. So enrollment holds will be placed on students' account if they have not completed their math and English requirements. This is not just happening at GBC, this is actually happening at all 7 of our NCHE institutions. Each institution will be handling enrollment enforcement a little bit differently. And right now, institutions, I can't think of one institution that definitely has a set process as of yet. And I know GBC is still working on this process. So A&R advising as well as our SysOps team are working on an enrollment enforcement policy and procedure that we can use. And as soon as that is in place, we'll definitely be sharing that out with the rest of GBC. So stay tuned for that. And then drop and swap holds. So this is something that we've also been speaking about at length. Once a student enrolls into a co-requisite math or English class, they are not going to be allowed to drop the course using self-service methods. They're going to be prompted to meet with an academic advisor, and we would be able to release the hold so they can get into another section or offering. The reason behind this is because once students, they have the holds on their account, they're not able to register. We don't want students to register for a co-requisite course, back out of it and then get into a regular, for example, Math 120 without that co-requisite support. So unless of course they have the correct placement test scores or they've gone through the multiple measures. So if a student is indeed enrolled into a co-requisite course, they will not be able to swap courses without speaking with their advisor. Again, this is another NCHE policy, and all 7 NCHE institutions are going to be participating in the drop swap holds. So that's some pretty interesting stuff. I wanted to share with you as well that we have an advising guidebook that was created. The advisor's guidebook that was created is basically an overview of why we're moving through co-requisite support, the formats of the co-requisite model, the updates to of course, the enrollment policy, enrollment enforcement, and so on. And it also includes placement tables, multiple measures information for advisors. So that will be also included with the reporting as well as the PowerPoint. There's also links throughout this PowerPoint to the co-requisite NCHE website for you to use. I did want to include all of the advisors that have worked on this guidebook. So the advising team for NCHE, we spent a lot of time working on this guidebook. So thank you for all of the assistance, and it was great working with the team. We also have 2 more professional advisement series for advisors that will also, we want to continue talking about co-requisite. So March 12th and April 9th, the registration links are here. I also include those in the weekly post for everyone if you do want to attend some of these professional development for advisors. The March 12th has some pretty good information. In there, March 9th will be right after the beginning of open enrollment. And I do believe that, the April 9th will include some student success and some advising from an equity lens information. So it's going to be a really awesome one. But we do invite everyone to attend these professional development series for advisors in support of co-requisite implementation. So I know that was a mouthful for me. I wanted to go ahead and hand this over to Evie and Josh to go ahead and talk about English co-requisite. If you have questions for me, make sure you're writing them down because we will have time for questions and answers, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So Evie, Josh, it's yours.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for being here, everybody. Any of you who don't know me, I'm Evie Buell, and Josh Webster is also with me, both from the Arts and Letters Department. We both represent GBC on the NC Co-Requisite Task Force and have been doing so for about 2 years now. And one thing that's important to keep in mind when it comes to English implementation is that from the outset of this, from the research that was conducted in 2018, 2019, they were using a lot of what we were doing in English here at GBC as a model for what we needed to be doing. And in fact, by 2019, we'd already begun phasing out our developmental English course for many of the same reasons. It wasn't working, whereas English 100 was the preferred destination there. Jennifer, can you, there we go, thanks. So one of the things we've worked on over this time frame is how do we come up with a good placement measurement for the two choices for English classes between English 100 and English 101. And this is especially the case because testing, especially placement testing, really doesn't do a terribly good job of measuring something that is more qualitative and not very exam-based, like the active composition. So we as a department really narrowed it down to a series of 3 questions to try to get our students really where they need to be. And I think Josh coined a term that's become popular across all of NC, and that is that the difference between an English 100 student and an English 101 student is a gap, not a gulf. Is that fair, Josh?
Yeah, it is. The differences that we found when we were looking, when we first implemented and brought back English 100, one of the things we noticed was that the number of students who placed in 9.5 dropped significantly. The number of students who placed in 100 was high, and the number of students who placed in 101 dropped off a bit as well, which made us realize that a lot of our students who were traditionally in 095 or English 101 actually belonged in an English 100 class. So really, we had a lot of borderline students who probably could have been successful in 101, but wouldn't have been as successful had they not taken an English 100 course. So we really just decided that it would probably be easier to kind of let students place themselves. Also, there are other logistical things that go into that, such as dual enrollment and how that's handled by the high schools. They're generally speaking not going to let them take a 100 class. So we ultimately decided that barriers of testing and things along those lines were not necessarily doing our students any favors. So we kind of decided it was a good idea to let them choose their own adventure, if you will.
And so one of the things that we're doing, because this is actually our 4th year of implementing English 100 at this point. We began again in the fall of 2017 of bringing this back. And so it's been a matter of dialing all of this in. For example, just earlier today, we as a department met to continue working on our pilot for assessment to see what needs to be where. And it gives us an opportunity to adapt this multiple measures approach that we have. The great thing about this, though, is that usually just a conversation between an advisor and a student gets them to be pretty honest about their composition skills. And composition skills, thankfully, tend not to degrade over time. Maybe there's just a little bit of inflexibility getting their keys back or their fingers back on the keyboard, but by and large, that skill stays there. So most of the time they're pretty honest with it, and the results out of this guided self-placement so far in different pilots around the country look pretty good. Any questions or comments that I could include at this time?
Yes, Evie. So are we saying then that students actually self-select whether they will be in 100 or 101? They determine it?
That is accurate, yes. It's part of the mandatory advising anyhow. They get some guidance towards that with the assistance of these guidelines. But yes, by and large, what we're seeing so far out of pilot data is that students tend not to, if anything, they tend to underestimate their abilities a bit in this realm.
Okay, that is interesting because English 100 is 5 credits. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the other is 3 credits. And so you're saying that students on their own choose to pay for 5 credits rather than 3.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
And actually, Glenn, some of the dual enrollment institutions do actually push their students to take English 100. For example, Nevada State High School, I think in many cases does. But the other students we find who are very interested in English 100 are usually non-traditional returning students who've been out of a classroom for a while. They tend to aim that way. And part of the process for this is they are asked these questions in some form or another, and a recommendation is made. And in many cases, they'll go with that recommendation unless there's some sort of other constraint placed on them by, for example, the dual enrollment process. But otherwise, they'll generally go for the one that's recommended.
Yeah, okay.
So Evie and Josh, I want to ask, because you guys do sit on the INCHE Co-Requisite Task Force with the rest of our INCHE institutions, what are the other INCHE institutions doing for English, Co-Requisite English?
Sure. Our colleagues at Western are doing a similar but not identical guided self-placement. Theirs is a little bit more in depth of a maze than ours. We opted for this approach because if there's 2 choices, why make it 20 questions? We can really distill it down to what the issue is. Some of the larger community colleges are remaining with placement testing. They say that the volume of students involved just makes that a better option for them at this time. The universities and in Nevada State do a lot less with developmental and co-requisite courses. So for them, it's anything from a portfolio that's individually reviewed to placement testing to a mix of measures.
And I'll jump in too and say that part of our, when we were working in the process with all the other institutions, one of the considerations that was discussed frequently among the members of the faculty representing other institutions was the issue of resources. That came up quite a bit, and we ultimately aimed to allow institutions to make choices that would benefit their institution, the resources they had available to them. Some of the larger schools, for example, can do a portfolio system where they extensively evaluate students' writing. That wasn't feasible for us, or it wasn't feasible for Western or TMCC or CSN, so we went with a little bit different route. The route we went here at GBC, we feel reflects really the situation that our students find themselves in terms of picking classes, and also reflective of not placing undue burden on advisors or anyone really else in the institution in helping students find their way to that correct class for themselves.
Okay, thank you, Josh and Evie. One more question, just because I know it's lingering out there for some advisors. What is the difference between an English 100 and an English 101 course? So how do they differ?
They differ in the level of support that's provided, the amount of contact hours, the ability to work through the concepts. One thing we've been very careful not to do is to have it be like a 3 credits of transfer level and 2 credits of developmental. That's not what English 100 is. It's sustained increased contact. It's more time working with the material itself in order to develop the different sets of writing skills of where they need to be. It's just more practice, more time, more support.
And I would also
go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
I would also add into critical reading skills and an emphasis, greater emphasis on reading instruction to some extent, not in the sense of teaching people to read, but more emphasis on reading for academic purposes. Reading things like assignment sheets and things along those lines is becoming part of that English 100 curriculum.
So when you say more embedded support, what do you mean by embedded support? Is that tutors in the classroom? Is that referring them to the ASC? How are they getting that additional support?
It's not inherently embedded support. It depends on the institution and the resources available. Some of the institutions that have graduate programs, for instance, can embed the same tutor within every class. For us, with our high volume of distance learning, obviously having the online tutoring makes the most sense for us. That's not quite embedded in the same way, but it's also contact hours with instructors is generally speaking higher in the English 100 courses. For instance, our live synchronous ones tend to meet 4 days a week just to reinforce many of these points and to work through them more. It's just the additional contact.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Evie or Josh?
Yes, this is Ping. I do have a question to clarify the credits from English 100 and English 101. So if a student take English 100, only 3 credits counted as their like a college credit, right? And another 2 credits will count it as elective? No?
Yeah, that's the structure, Pink.
Yes, that is, sorry.
Yeah.
Say, Jennifer, you've got a good grip on that as well.
Yeah, so paying for students that are taking that because, and it's beautiful how, you know, the English department made it 5 credits and not necessarily with the added 2 credits of developmental education. All 5 of those credits will go towards the student's degree. So 3 of those credits will be used to satisfy their English 101 requirement, and then the other remaining 2 credits can be pulled into the elective area. So yeah, all 5 credits will be used.
Okay, so then, but for the English credits, only 3 credits, right? So then that means students still need to take English 102 if they need 6 credits for the general ed, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I just want to clarify. Sometimes students ask us, yeah, and I just don't want to give the wrong answer. Thank you.
Yeah, and that should be pretty clear in the catalog as well, where it says English 100 or 101. So it definitely is, let students know they still have to take 2 sections of English in order to satisfy that first year composition requirement.
I do have one other question along those lines. I haven't looked much at the fall semester with respect to the offerings, but do we have plenty of offerings at English 100 as opposed to English 101? I suspect that you've thought that out enough to make sure that there are plenty of offerings.
Yeah, we do have enough seats. I'm sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll actually, Glenn, we've had enough seats in English 100 for a while. When we reintroduced English 100, we had a lot of students enroll very early on. We were really overwhelmed probably the first few semesters we offered it. Since then, we've kind of hit a stride with it. And I would say that our staffing issues at English 100 and English 101 are the same as always. There's no real, you know, you're all advisors, you know that usually towards the end, as before classes start, we start running low in English 100 and English 101 sections. We're about balanced there in terms of we've got kind of the system down as to what we need to schedule.
Okay.
And I have to say too, we usually ask for additional sections to be created every semester for both English 101 and 102. So, you know, good job, English department. It's awesome. Any other questions for Josh and Evie before we move on to math? All right, so we're going to go ahead. Gino, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and unmute, and we will begin talking about math co-requisite.
Hi, everyone. It looks like there's no other math faculty attending right now.
I'm here,
Who is that?
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel, thank you. Thank you so much. I was hoping to have our pilot instructors to attend this meeting, but Lynn wasn't able to make it. But Daniel, thank you so much for coming here. I outlined this slide according to Jennifer's request. These are learning outcomes for Math 20 and 26. These are basically the remedial materials for Math 120 120E and Math 126E. And Math 120 will be 2 credits that's attached to Math 120E class, and then Math 26 will be attached to Math 126E. And then Math 26 is 3 credit, and Math 20 is the 2 credit. So there are 2 co-requisite courses, one Math 120E plus 20, and the other one is Math 126E plus 26. So those are 5 credit and 6 credit respectively. Any question about learning outcomes? Okay, so these learning outcomes are built by the pilot instructors, both our Daniel and Lynn, who piloted these courses, and then they somehow they matched the learning outcomes from Math 120 and 126 to our remedial portion of the these contents. So if you don't have any questions, Jennifer, would you go to the next one? So we just talked about this. Math 126E will be 6 credit. Math 120E will be 5 credit. So next page. These are the placement for these co-requisite courses. The incoming students still can take the current placement test. So if they get placed in regular Math 126 or regular Math 120, they don't have to take the co-requisite courses. But if they don't get placed, and there is no option. So up until now, our students have been taking Math 91 or Math 95. So these remedial courses are going to be going away, except for high school students. High school students still can take the remedial courses, Math 91 through Math 97, because they're not GBC students. I mean, they're basically high school students. So according to NC policy, the GBC college students are not allowed to take the those remedial courses. For your information, the Math 91 through Math 97, we plan to offer 1 sections just for high school students. For all other, the enrollment will be on Math co-requisite courses, Math 120E and Math 126E. And then students have to take those classes if they don't get placed in the college level courses. So GPA and then latest math course they have taken from high school, and the other one is a number of years they graduated from high school. So these are basically the give you some indication when the students meet with the advisor, they're gonna go through this kind of information. For example, we think if their GPA was 3.0 or above, we think that they will not need the support. So it's possible for them to get placed in regular Math 126 or Math 120. Or below these GPAs, we think they are gonna have to take the remedial or co-requisite courses. So it's all, this is about the, oh, sorry, I have to correct this. This is not definite indication. So this is basically to give some idea to the advisor and students to place the students in the right courses. Okay. Any question about the multiple measurements for math placement?
I think Stephen has a question. Stephen, did you have a question?
Stephen.
I do. We went rather quickly by the Math 126E 26 combo. Did I read it correctly? It said 6 credits for that versus 5 credits for 120 combo and the English combo?
Math 126E combo is the 6 credit.
How come that one's 6 and 120 combo is only 5?
Oh, the reason is during the pilot, we tried 2 credit, and then also we've been meeting with the NC task force team to find out what's the appropriate number of credit, and we decide to raise the credit number because the content of Math 126 is quite more intense, and then this can, Daniel can speak better about this one, but Math 120 can stay 2 credit because of the less complex.
Right.
Nature.
Essentially the difference there is Math 126 is designed to help students prepare for a STEM field degree, which means they need to be able to be prepared for calculus, intensive scientific mathematics, things like that. Whereas 120 is kind of, you need some exposure to mathematics, but really you're going into like English, right? And so the Math 120 topics are simply less advanced and need less of that prerequisite support, or co-requisite, I guess we have to call it now, but that prerequisite knowledge to handle. For example, a really easy example, a Math 120 student does not need to know how to factor a quadratic equation or to solve a quadratic equation. It never comes up in any of the topics we talk about in Math 120. A Math 126 student absolutely needs to know how to do that.
Yeah, so that's the reason. Stephen, do you have more question about this?
No, thank you.
Yeah, and then some people might think, oh, the students have to pay for 6 credit and instead of the 3 credit, but this is actually a cheaper way than all our traditional way of remediation. If you remember, students going through Math 91 through Math 97 and getting into Math 126, that's a lot of time and money and effort. So this is really shortcut for our students, and all the research has been done in the state level. So that's how we decide to do this way. Okay, Jennifer, next page, please. Next. Grade will be the Math 20 and 26 grade will be satisfactory or unsatisfactory. So 70% or above will be satisfactory. Next page, please.
Gina, can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
So we talked about Math 20 and 26 grades, so satisfactory, unsatisfactory. What will the Math 120E and 126E grading scale be?
Oh, they are identical to a grading scale of Math 120 or Math 126.
Perfect, thank you. Oh, I think that was all we had, Gino. So do we have any questions for Gino and the math?
Let me back up one more since everybody's here. So the latest development regarding the co-requisite, we've been working with the Dean to set and also Ping and all math faculty. So we've been we've been discussing about the hiring supplemental instructor instead of the embedded tutors. So basically, supplemental instructors are going to be the main job will be tutoring for their courses. But we changed the titles to be a supplemental instructor, so we expect them to do better. So we can pay a little more, and then these instructors will do a better job besides the tutoring, just like teaching them study skills or time management or that kind of thing. So that's our latest development. And in order to hire these people, our department and Team to Set have been working on the budget and how to hire these people. And also Ping has been helping us to recruit these instructors. And also we've been also working with the Team to Set regarding the equipment to provide to tutors and the supplemental instructors, like laptops, and then also the writing pad and these kind of equipments that's a crucial or critical for our math instructors. So we've been also working for these equipments. And let's see. Hey, Daniel, did I miss anything?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah. So anybody have a question before I go?
Yeah, Gino, I want to ask a question. How does our co-requisite math offerings, how do they compare to the other NG institutions? Are they going to be the same?
They are going to be exactly the same. However, as a department, we try to offer course to be consistent. And then, but lately I've been having some my limitation. each faculty has their own way of teaching, and that they are willing to teach their own way. And then our pilot instructors, Daniel and Lynn, will do their best to give a faculty training, but each instructor will have their own ways of teaching. But for example, fundamentals like learning outcomes or textbooks, these are going to be identical, I mean, consistent throughout the department. Compared to other NC institutions, I can say we are identical in terms of the course numbering and then number of credits. So in all other NC institutions, they also have a 6 credit for Math 126 co-requisite and then 5 credits for Math 120 co-requisites. Did that answer you okay?
It did. Thank you, Gino. Stephen, you had another question?
Yes, I do, Jennifer, and it's for you as the mistress of the catalog.
Okay.
Our programs all require a minimum of Math 126. So in the catalog, we're going to have to change that now to show 3 to 6 credits. Correct?
So in the catalog, and I know the science department has already done this. So they had submitted changes to me to include math, or I'm sorry, they've submitted program changes to the curriculum review committee to include Math 126 or Math 126E, and then they changed their credits to 3 to 6 credits.
And Stephen, if I can say a quick thing there, the math doesn't work like the English does because, you know, our lovely English faculty mentioned that they were able to not exactly teach prerequisite material, but with math, we have that problem where people do forget it if they don't do it. So the Math 26 and 126 are counted as separate classes entirely. And so as far as the other programs go, they don't need to worry about those 3 credits from the Math 26. They only, because the 126E is the one that's covering the topics that were included before. So, I mean, we'll still need those changes, of course, but we won't need to change it to 6 hours because 126E is only 3 of those hours.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
the Math 120 and 26 are not counted as, they're not counted as a college credit. They are just like all time, the remedial credit. So passing Math 126, for example, passing 126E is identical to passing Math 126. So I don't think we need to change that one, Stephen.
So I don't need to make a change in the catalog then.
So 126, some, like I said, the science department's already gone through and said 120 or 120E, so they've included that verbiage. Essentially, it is the same class, but really it's up to you, Stephen. I would have to update your program pages and then redo the degree audits to pull that in, which I'm already planning on doing.
Do I need to update the catalog pages to reflect that or not?
I'm going to leave that up to you. That is up to you. If you want to change your catalog pages, if you want to change them, you just send them over to me and I'll get those done.
Oh, Stephen,
Okay.
Stephen, here's what I think, Stephen.
Yes.
Because from now on, from fall of 21, basically we are offering 126E co-requisite in full scale. And if your catalog says Math 126 or above, or you can just insert Math 126 parentheses or Math 126E. So that'll minimize the confusion for our students.
Okay, thank you for the suggestion, Gino.
I think that is correct. We can just add 126E or 126, and that would do it. Just 3 credits is all that we need. That's the way I'm seeing it.
Right. That's the way it's supposed to work. 126E is identical topics, identical learning outcomes to Math 126. The addition of the 26 class doesn't affect any of that. So all you need on your all you need to add to your programs is the 126E or the 120E, depending on what your program asks for. The hours are the same, the topics are the same.
Thank you very much.
Right, and I don't know if this would be best answered by you, Jennifer, or Gino, but since the Math 120E and 126E, Math 20, Math 26 are viewed as separate classes, how is that working with financial aid?
So financial aid will pay for that. I don't know, do we have anybody from financial aid on this call? I'm looking, I don't see. I do know that we had talked with Tanya and Scott, and financial aid will be able to cover those co-requisite courses, so 20 and 26. That's not an issue. So they will be covered under financial aid. However, those courses will not count towards credit. So like Daniel had mentioned, with the English co-requisite, we can utilize all 5 of those credits, towards a student's degree. But for math, that is not the case. So those co-requisites 20 and 26, those would be under the does not apply area of a student's degree audit, where those credits do not apply towards the overall credits in their degree.
And then what happens if the students were to get a U in the Math 20 or Math 26?
Gino, or
Yeah.
Oh, I got that one. Sorry, I just had to deal with this last semester. They had a big discussion at the state level task force about this, that the idea that we're going with is if the student passes the main class, so 120E or 126E, then they automatically pass the other one as well, because the purpose of those courses is to support them through the main course, right? So it doesn't make much sense to hold them back for that if they showed that they have that knowledge that they needed. On the other hand, if they get a U in the 26 or the 20, but in the main course they did not pass, they will have to do the combination again if they didn't want that U on their record. Okay, but then they can also have the option that if they get a satisfactory in the 20 or 26 level and do not pass the 126 or 120E level, then they can take a regular 126 or regular 120 class.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions for the math department?
Yes, I have a question here, Jennifer. So with this, when Jen, you had mentioned that you'd have one section of 91, 95, 96. What is that mode of instruction going to be? Is it going to be IAV, internet, or in person?
For fall, basically we planned everything to be online.
Okay.
Due to COVID, I think it's we've been doing a lot of online courses in math department, and then due to COVID, basically it was more convenient to convert interactive classes to online. So we've been doing a lot of online classes. So next fall, those Math 91 through 97 will be online.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess for me, I think that if it's online, I think it can be like for everybody in all of our areas. That would make it really convenient for anybody who would want to take that as a high school student.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then I guess I wanted to maybe share a comment, if that would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, just stop me, just saying, oh, Hank, you're off. So essentially the reason why we need mandatory advising for something like the math is that we have degree pathways, right? Math 120 is going to be more for the arts. Math 126E is going to be more for the science. And then we have Math 116E that is for the technical degrees. So if a student is pursuing a science degree, if they take a Math 120E, that's going to be wasting their time. And this is going to save them the time if they're going to be taking 126E. with, so that's 21, 26 with the 26.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a student who is a STEM major, we want to try and get them into the Math 126 or the Math 126E, because again, that would be taking an additional course for them. So we definitely want to try and get them in there. And yes, the mandatory advisement is there for several reasons. Mandatory advisement is helping us, one, to ensure that we are following the continuous enrollment policy and getting students enrolled in math and English, within their first 2 academic semesters. I always try to get them in math and English within their first semester, but that's not always feasible for our students. Also, mandatory advisement is also a time where they get to connect with a person. They get to connect with their academic advisor, who will make sure that they're taking the correct courses and getting them the educational plan, talking to them about their degree objectives, getting to know them and giving them their resources. So mandatory advisement is very important for many, many reasons. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Gino and Daniel, for speaking about the Math Co-Requisite. We're going to hand it off to Ping and the ASC to talk about tutoring and the Academic Success Center, and where they're going to fit into co-requisite implementation.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hi, everyone. So we all know co-requisite is going to be challenging especially for the math part, because students are lack of math basic skills and the foundation, and then we just threw them into the co-requisite math courses. And in a traditional way, it may take them like 3 semesters to complete the developmental part. Now they all have to complete the college math courses in 1 semester, plus they have to fill up all the gap and that they had. So then obviously the academic support is important for our students to be successful in the co-requisite courses. So we are here to support them and to be successful. And so first, I'm going to talk about placement tests. So for the placement test, there are no changes. So then they still take a placement test for the math courses. So either they be placed into college level Math 120 or Math 126, then they just continue with the college level class, or they will be placed into co-requisite math course, and like Math 120E and Math 126E based on their placement results. So no more Math 91, 95, 96 as Gino mentioned earlier for GBC students, and except for the high school students. And so we have for the placement test, and we still use AccuPlacer, and we're going to continue use AccuPlacer for the placement test. And students can take the test in person, or they can take test online. So, and in the past, they take the online AccuPlacer with Proctor Examine, which is like a third party contracted with AccuPlacer. Student has to pay the fee. Now we have our own online testing service offered by our own GBC Proctor. So then student can just make appointment with on the scheduled system. We call it WC Online, and then they take test at home. And so, generally, overall, students can take a placement test either in person at a local GBC campus, or they can take test at home by using the Zoom platform. So, and so if students have a question, and both options, the appointment are required. So either they can call a GBC campus, a testing center, to make appointment for the in-person testing, or they follow the steps to sign up account in WC Online, and they make appointment. And then once they make appointment, confirmation email will be sent to them, and then with a Zoom meeting link, then based on their scheduled time of day, they click that Zoom meeting link to join in a Zoom meeting to meet with GBC proctor to take tests at home. And that's about the placement testing part. And again, for the one more thing for the placement test. So again, English placement test is not required because majority of students, they are going to do the self-placement with advisor to determine which English class they are going to choose, either English 100 or English 101. But we still have English placement test available for like CTE students and for some like veteran students, and based on their requirement, and the English placement test is still required, and they have to take both English and the math. So we had some common question before, is like, is English placement test still available? Yes. So once since we're still using AccuPlacer, we still have both English and the math available. But for majority of students, they are just going to take math part, not English part. But for CTE students and for veteran students and for some dual credit, dual enrollment high school students, they may need take English placement test as well. Okay, and do I need to ask a question now? Or I save the question later.
Up to you, Bing. It's up to you, however you want to do it.
Yeah, any question about placement test part before we move on? Okay, if you think of any question about placement testing, we can discuss later on. And the next part we can use to support the co-requisite is AdReady. So we are a membership with Enrock. So then we are using the AdReady. We have annual contract with Enrock, and then one of their product is AdReady. And we use AdReady to let students refresh their English skills and math skills by themselves. And AdReady is a web-based and self-paced resources. And any GBC students can sign up account as long as they have a 10-digit number, and it will be free for them to use. We do pay a little bit membership fee, but the Enrock is a nonprofit organization, and then the NSHE system has the contract with Enrock. So then as part of NSHE, we are membership of Enrock. So, and for our students, it's free. So then the AdReady mainly focus on the college readiness for both math and English. So, and this resource is already existing there for several years, and we have students using it, and then we are going to keep using it to let our students refresh their skills, no matter is before they take a co-requisite class or maybe during the regular semester when they are taking the courses. So, and one thing we're planning to do is we're going to have either myself, or if we have a grant to hire another part-time staff at ASC, we're going to have someone to work with students closely during the summer to prepare them better before their co-requisite math courses start. So then, but again, overall, this AdReady is a web-based system. Students can just work on it based on their own schedule, their own pace. And but we are going to be here to support them. If they have any question, they can call us. If they need extra help and using AdReady to refresh their skills, and during the summer or during the regular semesters, and then we're here to support. And so again, this is for both math and English. So if you have students and they ask, looking for some resources, or I need to refresh a little bit before semester starts, so where should I go? Then just let them know there's an AdReady resource for them to it's free for them to use, or you can just direct them to us. We will work with them closely. And so we are thinking to use AdReady to do some like a summer workshop. So I don't have specific plan yet, but that's just some some plans, some thought I'm having now to try to work on it later on at the end of this semester. So then we may have some more details and plan for Ready program using in summer to support our students who are going to take the co-requisite class in the fall. And that's about Ready. And the link is on the homepage of ASC, and we also have a link here on the slide, so it's easy and it's really simple sign up, and it's easy to use. So, any question about Ready?
So, Ping, I do have a question. So, if when we're advising students, we do get a lot of students who test in Math 9-1. That's not a big secret or surprise. You know, and I think that I've had students that I've worked with before in advising that get a little anxious and nervous about being told, you know, oh, there's this 120E option. So what is Ready the tool that we would use or that we would share with students to say, if you want to, you know, work on your math skills before you start the class, would you recommend that we're referring them over to use the Ready resource?
Yes. Yes, we would like them to start use Ready to pick up their knowledge and the skills and before they take the class. And one good thing from Ready is focused on the college readiness. So when students sign up account, the system will do the assessment, pre-assessment to determine where their level is at, and then so the system is going to generate the personalized study path based on their pre-assessment results. So then it's really good too for them to use, and then based on their own background, and then self-paced study, and it's a web-based. So then as long as they have a computer and the internet connection, then they can use it at anywhere and at any time. So then if students is worried about their mathematical foundation, and then they feel they are not ready to take a Math 120, or they are scared. So then we can just introduce this to them and have them just pick it up ahead of time, and then just have a little bit more preparation before the semester starts.
Thank you, Ping.
Yeah.
Yes, I have another question here. This goes back to the previous slide a little bit about the placement tests. Now, if a student does not do as well as they thought they should have on the placement test, is there a limit to how many times they can take that placement test over again?
Yes, and right now the limit is 2 attempts in the last 365 days. So it's basically in the past 1 year, and then they can take up to 2 times.
Okay.
So, and if they never take the acupuncture before, they just took it, and then they want to take it again. So there's no waiting period. They can just take it again next day, or the same day, or maybe 1 week later. And but once they take it twice in the past 365 days, then they are not allowed to take it unless we override it. So, and the acupuncture site manager role is able to override the placement test with more attempts. So and also that's what we are having the setting currently in acupuncture system. But again, if we need a change, like if we would like to give students more attempts, not in the past 365 days, maybe just in the past half year, we can change 365 days to 180 days, something like that. So it's up to us. Yeah, but the current setting is up to 2 attempts in the last year, in the previous 365 days.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Ping about Ready?
So this is Veronica. I do have a question. When a student goes on to Ready and takes the initial test to see where they're at, does Ready like follow their progression and then give them harder or more complex problems as they go along, or does it just do that one area that they placed into?
At the ready, they have the so based on the study goal they choose. For example, they choose the elementary algebra part, the study goal which focus on the elementary algebra part. So the system will have questions. I think it's a fixed number of questions in the system to evaluate their skills in elementary algebra topics. And then the system won't do the adaptive assessment, like based on what they answer, they will shoot more difficult question to them, or they will just reduce the level of difficulty. The Ready does not do it that way. So then the Ready is going to just have the question poll and to evaluate kind of like elementary algebra topics, and then they will know our students has mastered the topic 1 in elementary algebra area, and that does not master the topic 5 and topic 6. So based on their test results, and then they will generate the study path for all the topics and which are included in elementary algebra area. So that's how it works. Did
Okay.
I answer your question, Veronica?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right. Ping, you ready to move on to the next slide?
Sure, please. Thank you. Okay, so this is a supplement instructor Gino mentioned earlier. So, and we kind of like call it supplement instructor because once co-requisite starts in fall, and the tutor who is embedded into co-requisite courses are doing more than just a tutoring. So then that's why we prefer to call supplemental instructor kind of like a teaching assistant, like a graduate students who are teaching assistant for undergraduate level math courses, something like that. So then, but this is just like a term, so you can just think of this as just embedded tutors, and then we are going to embed supplemental instructor into all co-requisite courses, and these supplemental instructors are at least has math background in bachelor. Okay, so some of them may have master degree, and then at least they have bachelor in the math area. So then, and all co-requisite math courses are going to have one. Each class is going to have one supplemental instructor. So, and the supplemental instructor is going to work with students closely, either one-on-one peer tutoring or group study, or they work closely with the instructor who teaches supplement co-requisite math course. So then they may set up the office hours to meet with students online, and then they may provide grading to know which area students have more problems. So then they can just work with students closely toward those areas. So then, and that's basically some supplement instructor are going to focus on, and once we have a co-requisite courses offered in fall. And again, the supplement instructor, they somehow, some of them are part-time instructor who taught math 95, 97, 96 before. And then so, but we, again, they all have math background. So they are eligible for tutoring, for helping students learning like math 126 and pre-calculus level. And some of them may have higher level math background. And so, and based on different instructor, and the supplemental instructor may be asked to attend the regular instructions, and then to know what's the progress from this class, and then they can closely work with students, and then focus on the chapters and in this week, or maybe the contents taught in this week. And so when they have some group study or one-on-one tutoring session. So that's so we call it supplemental instructor because this idea is based on the supplemental instruction. So that's a type of tutoring. So then that's why we kind of like we kind of like rename it rename embedded tutor to supplemental instructor. So but we're going to have a supplemental instructor in every co-requisite math courses. And then so to closely work with students and instructor to support a co-requisite teaching and learning in math.
Ping, can I give you some backup?
Sure.
So I mentioned about this earlier. So so I, as a department chair, I'm going to match the person who is the supplemental instructor and the other person who is teaching math courses. So either full-time or part-time faculty. So our current faculty members, either full or part-time faculty members, will be closely working closely with the supplemental instructor, and then they will follow up the what was covered weekly, and then what was the assignment, so they can keep up with the class materials and how to handle the students and that kind of thing. So as of now, we have about 20 sections of both Math 120 and Math 126 co-requisite courses. This number of sections were based on the last fall of the 420 enrollments. So, but as of now, I really don't have any guarantee that these 20 sections will fill up or not. But it can be either we will need more co-requisite courses as time gets closer, or will be less than these courses. But we'll try to have enough supplemental instructors hired by summer so we can assign them to these co-requisite courses. Okay, so that's all I have for now.
So will these supplemental instructors be in both the 120E and 20 course, or are they only going to be in the 20 course?
They will be handling the remedial portion, but because they have a math background, they should be able to take questions from Math 120 or 126. Is that what you?
And even though we have to keep grades for those classes separate and the credits count separate, quite frankly, our experience from last semester showed that we can't really keep the subject matter separate if we want to be able to use the focus of the classes, which is this idea of just-in-time remediation, right? So they wouldn't, these instructors wouldn't be able to only be in one of the classes or the other, because separating the classes entirely is essentially impossible.
Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, one more thing. So that's why we ask when we hire the supplemental instructor, they have to have a strong math background. So and when we have a supplemental instructor to support a co-requisite math course, so and they have to be able to work with students toward the content from Math 120 and Math 126. So then there's no way we just kind of like a separate, I only can answer the question from the developmental math area. So then, yeah, so once they are supporting their students, they have to be able to work with students for the whole semester, no matter they are just refreshing the remediation part, or they are just learning the content from regular Math 126. Yeah.
Now, are these supplemental instructors only for math, or is this for English as well?
So far, we are planning for the math only. I don't know if Abby has the needs for the English course for the English courses or not. So I'm not sure, Josh or Abby, are you going to have some comments here?
I can chime in. We don't have any intention at the moment of doing the supplemental instructor point until bluntly either NSHE or the legislature or someone provides funding lines for these positions. I'm not comfortable relying on grant funding for such things, and what that burden would look like with the number of sections we have with it being online. So I'm satisfied with the online tutoring at this time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And also, in all honesty, I think we'd probably be looking much more towards an embedded tutoring model. I'm guessing would be the case, correct, Debbie?
The supplemental
That's
instructor,
correct.
sorry.
Yeah.
The embedded tutor or supplemental instructor idea initially came from the math pilot from the California colleges and universities when they implemented their co-requisite courses. And that's where we adopted this idea. So just for math, I haven't heard anything embedded tutors for math, English. So just for math for now.
Thank you.
yeah, I think another reason is like the math is more challenging for the co-requisite model, and so English pretty much is doing pretty well. So and we see like at ASC, and when we review the placement results, and after they take math, both math and English placement tests, and then most of students have struggled with math part, and then it's pretty easy for them to be placed into English 100 or English 101, just a small group of students, and they are placed into English 95 in the past. So then, but for math, and 50% of students who took placement test, who took math placement test, were placed into math 91. And overall, 75% of students who took math placement test were taking one developmental class. So that means only 25% of students who took a placement test and were able to be placed into college level. 75% have to take at least one developmental math class. That's based on what we had, the data, the historical data we had in the past couple of years. So the math is more challenging for students. So then that's why we want to use this supplemental instructor to embed into each co-requisite math class to closely work with students. And yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else have any additional questions about supplemental instructor? All right, being in person and online.
Okay, besides the supplemental instructor, and I think mainly they are going to offer the online support, and but if we will keep it flexible. So, and if students are from local and or the supplemental instructor is from local, the student want to meet one-on-one in person, that's possible. But right now we are planning for the online support and for the supplemental instruction part. And besides that, we still offer in-person online tutoring at ASC. So based on need, and we may decide how many more tutors we can hire for the math area. And just as what we're doing now, we have tutoring for like live tutoring one-on-one in person or online tutoring. So the online tutoring part, the one online tutoring third-party online tutoring service we're using is Smart Thinking. It has been there for several years, and although there are some negative comments for the from students who use the Smart Thinking, but we still have it contracted with us. So and lately, I think last summer, so we start to explore more effective online tutoring service, and then we found Tutor.me. So and by using the co-requisite grant, we are able to purchase Tutor.me online tutoring hours. So we are able to contract with Tutor.me company to have the second online tutoring service available for our GBC students. So and the Tutor.me and both Tutor.me and Smart Thinking are online. So the tutors are from everywhere, like from a global, not only just in US. So they are third party online tutoring company. So we just use their services. And also we have our own GBC tutor, and we can have our own GBC tutor work with students online, either by using Creative Cafe or by using Zoom. So, and to support the online tutoring more efficiently, so particularly for the math area, we ordered some like writing tablets, and it just easy connect to a computer, and then the tutor can show how to work out a math problem on the writing tablet, and everything will be shared with students on the screen once they got connected online. So in Creative Cafe or in Zoom. So then, and overall for the tutoring, we are still going to keep both in-person tutoring and online tutoring, and at ASC. And so because COVID-19, so they have to just call us to make appointment. And I'm pretty sure an online tutoring and in-person tutoring by our own GBC students are also offered at other GBC campuses like Prom or with Manka or Ely. So then, yeah, if students from those areas, they have any question about tutoring, and then they want to meet with tutor in person or meet with tutor online, so then they can just call the center or call us. We can work with students. And the Tutor Me is, my experience is the Tutor Me is more friendly and is more efficient for students to use, and they have much better rating and a much better review. So, and once we are in fall 2021, the Tutor Me link will be embedded into Web Campus, and for all co-requisite math courses. And the students log into their math class in Web Campus, there should be a button for them to click, just to connect to Tutor Me platform, and then to search for a tutor online, and then meet with tutor online. So, and that's how it works for the Tutor Me. And the Smart Thinking does the same thing. So then Smart Thinking link is embedded into Web Campus. Student can just click the Smart Thinking and then to connect to a Smart Thinking tutor online. And I don't know how long we are going to keep Smart Thinking. So maybe after a couple of semesters, if we are able to evaluate the performance from both Tutor Me and the Smart Thinking, we might just stay with one third-party tutoring service. So I'm not sure, but currently, and probably for fall as well, we will have both Smart Thinking and Tutor Me available to support co-requisite teaching and learning. Okay, so that's all about the in-person and online tutoring. So any question before we move on?
This is Mary and Ely, and I have a question about the math before we leave it completely. Okay. About the grades. And Janelle or Daniel, I think one of you addressed this earlier, but I'm looking back at my notes and I don't know if I got it correctly. I know the goal is for the student to get through Math 126E and 26 to pass both of those. But would you explain again what happens if they don't pass one or the other? What is the student's next step?
Sure, Mary. So our possibilities are that they pass both of them, which is great, and they just move on. The second possibility is that they pass the main course, 126E or 120E, but do not pass the co-requisite course, the 20 or 26. In that case, they actually end up getting a passing grade anyway in the co-requisite course, and they still just move on, because the point of the co-requisite course is to support the main course. So if they can pass the main course, they've shown that they got what they needed there. And then the other option is that they do not pass the main course, but they do pass the co-requisite course, the 26 or 20. In that case, they can retake 126E or 120E, or they can take a regular 120 or 126 class instead. And then the last option is that they fail both courses, and then they have to go back to the E for that.
Okay,
And,
thank
and
you.
have to is a really strong word when we're using the guided self-placement model. So.
Right. Okay, thank you. That's what I'd written down, and then I thought I better make sure. So thanks.
All right, any additional questions for Ping and the Academic Success Center? All right, thank you, Ping, very much for your time and letting us know how the tutoring is going to be working and placement testing. Morgan, unfortunately, is not here with us today. She had an emergency, or she was not able to come in today. So I'm going to discuss this communications toolkit. So working on the INCHI Co-Requisite Task Force, they had given GBC an opportunity, and it was a great opportunity, to create what is called a communications toolkit. I've got the link right here for you to go ahead and look at that. But basically what this communications toolkit is, Morgan did a great job on it, is she went through and she created a variety of different communications that we can use to share co-requisites with everyone, basically all of our stakeholders. She's got information for every single INCHI institution. So she created, this is just an example of a poster that we could put up in a high school. And it's branded GBC, but Morgan actually went through and branded each and everything for every single college. So it's pretty neat. These communications that she had created can be used to send out to high schools or high school guidance counselors. They did create certain like social media ads that can be ran. I think there's 3 or 4 Facebook ads. They went ahead and they've created different postcards. So there's postcards. If we wanted to, we could send these postcards out. Again, this is branded GBC, but there are some that are branded for CSN, TNCC, WNC. So there are materials out there that if you were asked about co-requisite support or you wanted to send some information off to students or a group of students, it is already created for us, and it is on the co-requisite task force page, which there's a link to that in this presentation. So we have come to the end. We're just about on time. So I want to go ahead. I know people still have questions. I didn't necessarily answer a Q&A after I had spoke about some of the policies and procedures. So let's go ahead and open it up to the group, and we will answer some Q&As if anybody has them.
Yes, Jennifer, I have another question. I think we have said that a student is required to take English and math courses their first semester or first 2 semesters maybe until they reach a certain level. Now, what if we have a student that just wants to take 1 course at GBC for some odd reason, they're not working on a degree? And where does that student sit then with respect to being able to take that course without having to take a math or English course?
No, absolutely, Glenn. That's a great question. So the continuous enrollment policy in which you speak of is actually for all degree seeking students. So if that student is truly a non-degree seeking student, they would not have that same restriction, and they can take whatever course they would like to take.
Okay. And does the enrollment system, it marks it that way, I guess, and so it goes fairly smoothly?
Yeah, so the mandatory advisement that we had spoken about earlier, mandatory advisement is placed on all students' accounts who are at degree seeking. So if they're non-degree seeking, they should not get that advising hold.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else? Any questions?
This is Veronica. So along the same lines that Glenn just asked, high school students are non-degree seeking, or are they degree seeking?
High school students are considered non-degree seeking, and currently they do not get the mandatory advising hold. That was assessed by Melissa Reese when she was here as the registrar, myself. We spoke with SysOps and other INCHI institutions to see what they were doing, and we do not put that hold on their account. Some of them will come through with the hold. a lot of high school students are actually selecting that high school certificate, which is a good thing. It's an awesome thing to see that selection coming through. So know if your high school students are listed as non-degree seeking and they've indicated they do not want to go forward with the general education certificate, then no, they will not have the hold, but they will get a hold, high school hold anyway, Veronica. So all high school students will have that, and they've got to submit their paperwork. So.
Yep. Okay, I was just thinking about our CTE students who start as sophomores sometimes, and they don't take math and English their first semesters. They take their CTE courses first and then come back and finish the math, English, all the gen ed requirements for those degrees and certificates. So if that doesn't affect them, then awesome.
If they're listed under a certificate program, it shouldn't impact them either.
Okay.
And it needs to be continuous enrollment policy supports all degree seeking students.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, thank you for coming to our GBC Co-Requisite, I guess, webinar information session. This recording will be uploaded along with the advising handbook and this presentation into the faculty in-service trainings. If you want me to send you a copy of it, just let me know and I can shoot you a copy of that. But I hope everyone has a great day and thank you for coming.
Jennifer, before we leave, can I have one more thing to mention?
Absolutely, Ping, go ahead.
Yeah, and we are hiring a couple of more supplemental instructor. So, and if you know someone who is good at math, or maybe some of your previous students who are good at math and who have math backgrounds, and someone who is willing to help students, work closely with students, and so please pass along the message. We're hiring part-time supplemental instructor in math area. So, and let them contact me. So, and we do need a couple of more at least, and for the fall semester. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Ping. Well, again, I would like to thank everyone for coming. And if you think of any questions after the fact, please feel free to reach out to myself, Gino, Ping, Mary Doucette. We're all here to assist you. Make sure you register for those professional development series that are also in this slideshow. And then I also put them in the weekly posts. Everyone have a good day and thank you.
Thank you, everyone.